I think we are live on YouTube also, and we can like start the session.
So, Anam, I'm not monitoring my YouTube. I'm just monitoring the
Ah,
chats over here. Okay.
I will be there on YouTube. No worries. I'm
Okay.
handling on both sides.
Fine. Perfect. Just 1 minute. I just.
If anything else is there on YouTube which I can't handle, then I will put the message here on the Zoom, or else uh, put the message on group.
Yeah, Anam. Can we start?
Sure, sir.
Okay. Hi, good evening once again, everyone, to the day two of this boot camp on Excel by Let's Upgrade. So, Let's Upgrade is a organization that helps you upgrade and upskill yourself. So, do check out for all their new courses that they come up with. So, currently, you are enrolled in the boot camp for Excel. We are now in day two. So, just a quick update on what we're going to be doing in day two. So, in day two, I'm going to be working with some functions and management of data where I'm going to be talking about average, min, max functions first. Then I'm going to talk about how to work with count and count A functions. So these are some of the basic functions that are there. Yesterday we looked at the sum function. Today I will revise that and move ahead. In addition to that, I'm also going to talk about how to work with the if function, because the if function helps you to work with conditional calculations. Next, I'm going to talk about how to use freeze panes and how to work with sorting and filtering and how to work with data validation. Okay. Then towards the end, we're going to talk about how to work with the table and range format. So I may not take up these topics exactly in the sequence that I just mentioned. I will take it up according to the sequence that I have already designed it for my training. So first and foremost, I'll start off with the common Excel functions. So I'm going to share my Excel spreadsheet here. I'll just open up the file. Uh, okay. So please let me know if the screen is visible to all of you. Is the screen visible? And another thing, yes, perfect. Again, like yesterday, please request all of you do not spam the chat. Okay, now I've got the information that the screen is visible. Thank you. I will just go ahead with the training. That confirmation has been received. Don't need to put any other messages in the chat regarding that right now. So the rule remains the same. Please do not spam. It's a sincere request because when you spam the chat, what happens is the entire focus and the rhythm breaks. Second thing, if you have any query, put it in the chat. I may take it up immediately at that point in time, or I will quickly take it up maybe towards the end. So don't worry, your queries will be handled as per the timing that I have. So to begin with, the first thing I'm going to talk about is how do we deal with the uh, absolute referencing. Now, yesterday we spoke about relative referencing, but I think I would talk about absolute referencing today because yesterday we finished this last particular formula, that is the total after the discount. Now, what happens if you do not have a fixed, like if you do not have a fixed discount value, like it's not a constant. So here I've put a constant 7.5 as my discount value. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now go to 5.1 cell referencing. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to work with the values when you have a tax rate or your discount rate, whatever, written in a single cell. Now, in the uh, last session yesterday, when we worked with the data, we had a situation or a scenario where, 1 minute, Anam, can you allow me to please annotate on the screen if possible? Can you help me to annotate on the screen or use the annotation option on the screen? Anam, are you there? Okay, fine. I think unfortunately I don't have. It's just 1 minute. Let me just check if I have the software with me. Just give me a minute. I'm just setting up the annotation tool. It'll take another few seconds to do that. Uh, hmm, done. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So here I have got this 12% written in this particular cell. So it's a reference of the cell. What I want is I want to use this value inside these cells. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a formula using the unit price and the quantity, and I'm going to calculate the tax amount using this tax rate that is there. So how do I go about with it? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go about working with the formula equal to unit price, which is in E8, and then I'll multiply this by the value which is in F8. That's the same row. And then I will multiply it further with the tax rate. Now I have a question for all of you. Give me a quick answer in the chat. What happens when my formula moves down? Yesterday I told you that when the formula moves down, the row is going to change. So basically, if you see my formula when it moves down, here you will notice that E8 will change to E9, F8 will change to F9, and H5 will change to H6. Now the problem is this H5 or this cell contains the value, and there's no value below that that is required for the tax rate. Okay. Please forgive me. I'm not using a pen today, so my drawings are going to be very haphazard today. Okay. So this is going to be the situation. Now the problem here is that when I move my formula down, H5 will change to H6. Okay. So yeah, Kamran, I can opt for the whiteboard, but I need something which is more of a screen annotation tool. I don't find that on the Zoom as well, Zoom platform. So unfortunately, I'll just continue with whatever I have today. Tomorrow, hopefully, I will have everything set up and ready. So I've moved into a new office setup. That's the reason things are a little bad. Okay. So what I need to do is when I select this particular cell H5, immediately after that I will press F4 on my keyboard, the function key. Now when I press F4, I get this $H $5. Now when I get the $H $5, it basically indicates that I am locking the cell reference $H $5. So when I have a dollar before either the row or the column, it means that I'm locking the row or the column. But in this case, I'm locking the entire cell because I have a dollar before both the column as well as the row. Okay. So now what I need to do is I now need to hit enter. And then when I drag my formula down, you will notice that you have the value calculated. And you will notice here in these formulas, so this is the formula text basically. So formula text is a function which is equal to, and then you say, so I'll just show you how it works. So you can say equal to formula text, and then you can see in the autocomplete dropdown, hit the tab key to invoke that formula or the function, I'm sorry. And then you select the cell which you want to get the formula reference from. Now you can close your bracket and hit enter. So when you hit enter, you have E8 multiplied by F8 multiplied by $H$5. So basically what is happening is that for this cell, I'm locking the reference of H5. So I can hit enter and I can double click and send this down. And when I double click and send this down, it sends the same formula down and it gives you the value for all the whatever formula is there. It shows it to you in the string. Okay, is my screen blurred? Somebody says the screen is blurred. Is that the case? No, okay. So if the screen is blurred, Mohammed, please check your internet connectivity. That could be a problem because today I am connected to a wired connection. So hopefully, just keeping my fingers crossed, I don't have any problems with the internet today. Okay. Uh, is it? No, my background is blurred. So basically, the uh, for my camera it's blurred, but is the screen sharing blurred as well? Is that the case? No, so that's okay. Okay, okay, perfect. Yeah, the background is blurred because I have, as I said, I've moved into a new setup for my workspace. So that could be the issue. But I don't think the screen is blurred. So if you have a blurred screen while my screen is being shown here, so please just check your internet connectivity. That could be the issue. Anyways, let me focus on teaching what we are working with today. So next thing that we're going to talk about is how do we deal with a cross sheet referencing. So you've got this situation where you've got a cross sheet referencing situation. So at the bottom here, I've got another sheet which has got the same formula, which calculates the tax rate, the tax amount based on one single tax rate. So I'm using again the same formula across all these cells. Now what I have is I have got this one invoice, which is a sub invoice that is a total of 10,780 and another sub invoice, which is basically the situation for the cross sheet reference. Now what I want is I want the total for the eatables invoice plus the paper goods invoice to be shown. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the total. So I've used a sum function already, but I'm going to reference these two values from the sheets that are there. Now the cross sheet referencing, the term cross sheet referencing may sound really fancy or complicated, but it's very simple to use cross sheet referencing. What you just have to do is you just have to go to the cell where you want the value to be put in. So since you want the value to be put in into this particular cell, you put an equal to sign here. After which you will go to the sheet that you want to pick up the value from. So say I want to pick it up from this sheet. So select 5.1 cell reference and select this particular cell. So when you select it, when you do that, you can see in the area here, I'll just highlight this in the formula bar. If you notice, it's picking up first the sheet name with a exclamation mark and then the reference of the cell. You don't need to memorize how this is happening because you don't write this manually. You will never be writing it manually, but it's always good to understand how it works. Okay. So far, whenever I used a formula, so here, whenever I used a formula, the sheet name was never ever used. It was directly using the reference of the cell. But here it is using the reference of the cell along with the name of the sheet because the sheet is a different sheet. Okay. So once I have completed this, I can just hit the enter key and it will commit the formula and I will get the calculation here. Now, the good part about this is I'll just do it for the second one as well, equal to, and then I go to 5.1, 5.2 cell referencing and select this particular cell and hit enter. Now, the good part about this is if I go to 5.1 and I make any change, for example, if I decrease the quantity of biscuits to 50 packets, my total will decrease to 9,380. And so is going to be the total. So it's all connected. If you look at this sheet, it changes here as well. And simultaneously, you can see the total has also updated. So everything is all linked. The sheet value changes, the sheet value changes on the other sheet as well. And so does the overall total, which is actually using values from both the sheets. So this is something called as cross sheet referencing. So we've looked at absolute referencing and we've looked at cross sheet referencing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some basic sum if functions using a simple MIS sheet. Okay. So I have got this basic AutoSum function sheet here. Now let's say there is some information provided to us, like there are certain products that have been ordered by a company, and these products are categorized as essentials and non-essentials. So which are not essentials, there is nothing mentioned here. Now on purpose, I have left it blank over there. It could have been no, but if I put no, then I'll have to use a different formula, which I'm not discussing right now. So what I want is I want these KPIs. KPI stands for key performance indicator. Okay. So it basically stands for key performance indicator. Okay. I'll just put it here on screen. KPI. KPI stands for key performance indicator. It basically monitors what's happening in the business for you. Now here what we are going to do is we're going to calculate the average transit time. Now I have already calculated transit time for every single product in every single row. Okay. Basically what I've done is I have used the formula which says whatever is the received value, okay, I mean the received date, I will subtract that from the ordered date. Then that gives me the number of days. So it gives me 1 over here and so on and so forth. Now I have to calculate the average of the transit time column to get the average transit time it takes for one particular order to reach the warehouse or the godown or the distribution center. So you start with an equal to sign, and now you will put in the formula. So I'll put in AVE, and this will give me a drop down of all the functions that start with AVE, or any named range or table name that starts with AVE. Now I can hit tab once I see I am on average function. You can see for every function there's this fx that's been mentioned here. So I can hit the tab. When I hit the tab here, I have invoked this function to use in the formula. Now I just need to simply go ahead and select the cells that are containing the values for the in transit column. I can close my bracket. Please do not forget to close your bracket. Even though now, after so many years of using Excel, sometimes even I forget to close the bracket. Remember one thing. If you are working with a simple formula and you don't close the bracket, it's okay. But when the formula gets complex, when you have multiple brackets to close and you forget to close them, that's where the problem is. So be a little careful with that. So I'm going to close my bracket and I'm going to hit enter. That gives me an average transit time of 2.8 days. Okay. Now I need to find out what is the most expensive product's value. So obviously when I look at this, I can see, okay, this is 250. But if I have more values, how do I find it out? So I will use a simple function called as max, as the name suggests, because I need to find out the maximum of these values. So I'm going to use equal to max, hit the tab key, and then I'm going to simply go and provide the entire range of the unit price column. I'll close my bracket and hit enter. So that gives me 250 rupees of the total values. The next is least expensive product. Now, since I want to find out the least expensive product, the moment I say least, I'm looking for minimum. So again here equal to min, hit the tab key, and now I'm going to provide the unit price column and close the bracket and then hit enter to give 25 as my minimum value. So in these cases, we are using very simple formulas, that is average, max, min, to get the values. So these are called as auto sum functions. Now these functions can be accessed from the formulas tab. You can see this auto sum. You can just click the drop down and these are available to you. Apart from this, what you can also do is you can go to the home tab and you can see this auto sum drop down and you have these basic functions available for you. Well, the last one is to get the essential items ordered. Now, what I want is I want to find out how many cells in this range of values or in this range of cells are non-blank. I'm repeating it. I want to find out how many of them are non-blank, meaning how many of them have got some value in it. Now keep one thing in mind, okay? The example that I'm sharing with you, if there is even a small twist in this, the entire scenario is going to change. But for now, let's assume this is the situation and it will remain like this. It's not going to change. What I want to do is I want to find out the number of times or number of cells that have non-blank values. So I could use normally a count function, but the problem with the count function is count function works only on numerical values. So I'll give you an example. Equal to count, hit the tab key. Now before I hit the tab key, it just mentions here, I'll just zoom in for you a little. It says counts the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. Now if I try to use this function on these cells, what it's going to do is it's going to return a 0. And that is because this particular cell or these cells do not contain any numbers. On the other hand, if I change my formula or I change my function to count A and I hit enter, it will return 4 because there are 4 cells that are non-numerical, or sorry, there are 4 cells that are filled with values. Remember, count works only on numbers, whereas count A works on both numbers as well as text. So basically, any cell that contains anything is going to be this. Now, the problem here is, look here. So if I type no over here, okay, it will show me 5. Now, obviously, this is a problem, but to fix this problem, there's another function called as count if. Maybe we'll be discussing that towards the other sessions, or maybe in the other sessions. I think we do have those particular we don't really have that as part of our, just looking through the syllabus. Yeah, we don't really have that as part of our bootcamp, but yes, that's the function that you could actually deal with to resolve this particular problem. But anyways, last is to get the total. Now, the easiest way to get the total, I did mention that there is a quick way to get the total in a cell for all the cells that are above it. Does anybody remember the shortcut for that? Can you put it in the chat quickly? Does anyone recollect the shortcut for it? No? No, there's a shortcut. Shortcut. What is the shortcut? No, AutoSum, if you click, you will get it, but I want the shortcut, the keyboard shortcut. So let me say, let me just put it for you. It's Alt equal to. Okay. When you hit Alt and equal to together, you will see that the sum is being calculated for all the cells above it. Okay, so if I hit enter, I get 7,615. Yes, perfect. Alt plus equal to. Gaurav, you got that right, but I think after I did mention it. But yes, please don't forget this. This is a very, very useful shortcut. And during my sessions, I will be discussing a lot of shortcuts that you can work with. It's fine, Gaurav. That's absolutely okay. Just keep trying to remember these things during your work with Excel. See, let me tell you one thing. Okay, this is a tip that I'm giving you, and this is like over a period of years of experience that I've gathered. Till the time you don't dedicate at least if you want to be a pro with any tool, okay, any Excel, anything, Excel, Power BI, Tableau, Python, anything, you have to dedicate time to it. You cannot think that I will sit and I will, everything will just enter your head. No, practice is what is required, because these are tools that are more or less requiring you to practice a lot. It'll take you years for you to master it, but yes, if you're pretty good, I have seen people who have been able to master Excel in the period of 6 months because they've dedicatedly worked towards working on their skills. And let me tell you, uh, Let's Upgrade takes a lot of effort in conducting these kind of trainings. So make sure that you people take advantage of them and you put in your time to learn these tools even after the boot camps are done. And I think, if I'm not wrong, Let's Upgrade team is conducting these kind of boot camps every month. So please make sure that you people try to get into those boot camps as a refresher as well, because the more, and invite more people. See, because it's basically knowledge is something that should be shared. If you get an opportunity, always try to share knowledge with other people. Okay, so with that aside, now let me move into another very, very important topic: range versus a table format. Now, this is a very underrated topic, but I feel this is one of the most important topic, because the entire story begins from here. So it doesn't mean that so far whatever we've done is useless, but why I say the entire story begins from here, because this is where you learn how to work with the data. Okay, so first things first, I'm just deleting these columns because I'm going to be introducing or I'm going to show you how to work with the data. So I will also delete the data in 17, 18, and 19 rows. I will delete this line total because I want to show you how to work with the data. So I'll just copy this and I will paste it here in column J and I will auto fit these. Okay, perfect. Now here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something which we've already done, and then I'll show you something which you should do from now on. Now, by default, whenever we work with data in Excel, we are always working with a range format. Okay, this is a range format. Now, when you work with the range format, what you're essentially doing is you are working with the data. Uh, Gaurav, please do not spam. I don't know what you've written. Gaurav, please do not spam. Gaurav Singh. Okay, please. I request you to maintain the decorum of the session. This is a educational meeting or a educational session that we are having. I request all of you to please restrain from spamming and writing anything which is not suitable for this meeting. Okay, please keep that in mind. Okay, so now I've got the calculation that I need to perform here. So for the line total, what I'm going to do, I'm going to first put in equal to, and I'll do this a little quickly because we've already done this before. So I'll multiply it by the quantity and then I'll hit enter and then I will drag this down. Now what I'm doing in a range format is first and foremost, whilst you're working with the range format, okay, I'll just put it here in these cells so that we know. In a range format, we use cell referencing. Okay. Also, in the range format, when you have the formula calculated for one cell, you have to manually go ahead and drag the formula down using the fill handle for the other cells. So there is no auto calculation. Okay. Now, next is if I want to get the total here, I've just told you the shortcut. I expect all of you to respond back. What is the shortcut to get the total for these cells? What is the shortcut to get the total for all these cells, everyone? Perfect. Alt equal to. Very good. Just alt equal to should get you the total. Very good. Good, good, good. That means that you are all paying attention and you have responded. Thank you. I think now you can stop responding to that particular question. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now the question is, if I want to get the average, now I know that I've got the sum, but I want the average. What do I have to do? I will have to change the sum function to an average function. So the problem is I will have to go to my formula bar and I will change this from sum to an average. Hit the tab key and hit enter. And that calculates my average as 1815 rupees over here. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Kamran. That's right. Now the problem is that I don't have an automatic calculation. Also, I have no change of function. So whenever there's a change of function to be done, I have to do that manually. So I can say no auto change of function. Auto change of function. Okay. Next thing is when I have to add new data or when I have to add new values into this invoice, what I need is, so I've got some values here at the bottom. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these. Okay. And I'm going to paste them here. But the problem is I don't have space to paste it. If I paste them here, I will not have space to get the total for milk and then for oranges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply hover this cursor on the border and drag it down to make space for two new rows. And then I will select these two values or these two items and I will place them here to get the value. Now again, the moment I place it here, my expectation is that it should get me the total for milk and oranges automatically. And also it should update the average automatically, but that's not happening. Now, why do you think that's not happening? Because we are in a range format. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go manually and drag my formula down using the fill handle. Despite that, it's not updating my average. Again, there is another problem. I'll have to double click, and you can see here my range currently is only from G11 to G16, which means the last set of cells that I worked with. But what if I want to include the two new cells? I will have to simply hover this cursor and increase the range that I'm working with, and then I can press enter. I'm going to get 1767.5. Make sense, everyone? Have you understood what happens so far? So what I need is now I have to understand that also when there is new data that comes in, it does not automatically expand my data. So there is no automatic expansion as well. So these are some of the drawbacks, or you can say some of the issues with respect to the range format. Now I'm going to convert this data. I've got the same data that I've been working with, and I'm going to go ahead and convert it into a, sorry, okay. I'm going to convert it into a table format. So this is the format that you are expected to work with mostly. Now, when I say table format, a lot of people say, this is already in a table. Why do we need to convert? This is not the official Excel table format. It is a range format. Now, what do you mean by that? What is the difference between the two? I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to select any one cell in this data. And as long as I don't have any non-contiguous cells or non-contiguous values, it's absolutely okay. Now, what do I mean by the word, or what do I mean by the term non-contiguous? You may say that, sir, this is blank, but this is still contiguous. Contiguous meaning continuous range of cells. There's no blank in between. There's no blank column or a blank row. Yes, there are blank cells, but then this line total and quantity are just besides each other, or they are adjacent to each other. So now what we are going to do is I'm going to simply go ahead and uh, is the audio changed, or is it better? Is it okay, the same? Is it fine? Because I've just removed the headphone. It's kind of getting a little difficult for me. Yeah. Just give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Uh, Now is this okay? Now is the sound okay? So here, in the table format, so I'll just color this into a slight green color, green shade. So I normally prefer using the table format over the range format. You'll understand why exactly I prefer that. So what I'm going to do here is I've got my product name, the same data. It's the same data. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this into a table. Now there are three ways to convert it to a table. The first way is you can go to your format as a table option under the home tab. You can click the drop down and you have these various templates that are available. You can choose from them. I normally don't use this. I prefer using a default format. The second thing is you can click on insert and you can click on table. When you click on it, it opens up this create table dialog box. Okay, a simple dialog box for you. It's a small one. And using the shortcut. So if I hover over any of my command in the entire tab or in the ribbon, there are certain commands that will have the shortcut mentioned in the bracket. Now this shortcut is Control T. So if I use the shortcut Control T, what it does is, oh sorry, okay, I think it's opened up some other shortcut for me. Okay, I don't know what this. Oh, okay, I think it's something to do with Zoom shortcuts. I don't know, maybe. Anyways, so normally the control T should work, but if it doesn't work like this, you can just click on this again and I can click on OK. So here my table has headers has been selected by default. You leave it as it is because 99% of the time you have headers. Unless you know you don't have headers and there is just data without the headers, you just keep that unchecked. Now I'll click OK. And when I click OK, I need to now get the calculations. Now the first thing is when I start my formula, okay? So I'll put an equal to sign and I will select the same cell that I'm selecting so far. That is the unit price cell. Now, when I select this unit price cell, it does not pick up the reference of the cell. So it's actually supposed to pick up K11 because it's column K and row number 11, but it hasn't picked up this particular value. So it's picked up unit price. Okay. That's in a bracket with the at the rate symbol. Now, first and foremost, let me tell you this at the rate symbol that we are dealing with is it basically indicates that we're dealing with the current row that we are dealing with. And this unit price, okay, it's a structured referencing pattern. So I'll multiply this by the quantity. Now, before I press enter, let me show you that what magic this table format has. Now, when I hit enter, what do you think will happen? Can anyone predict what's going to happen? What do you think will happen? Anyone? Formula will apply to all. That's absolutely right, Gaurav. Perfect. Very good, Abdul. That's right. No, it doesn't sum up for all. Anto, Arokia, it doesn't sum up for all the rows. It will apply the formula to all the rows. Very good. Gaurav and Abdul Kadir, you've given the right answer. Shrikar, Lokai, yes, it will take 35 multiplied by 15, but it's going to multiply for all the cells. Okay, Tehsin, you've written so why in previous sheet everything is automatically filled and why do we have to manually enter in the range formatting? Uh, I didn't get your point. Tessie, I didn't get your point. If you could just rewrite your query, it'll be good. Anyways, now when I hit enter over here, it's going to give the calculation for all the cells. Okay. And that's the beauty of using a table format. Not just this. So first thing first, it does not use a cell reference. What does it use? It uses the absolute, sorry, it uses the structured referencing. I'm so sorry. Actually, I was just moving things out of my way. Okay, it uses structured referencing. Okay, first thing. And second thing is there is automatic calculation. So I can say there's automatic calculation. The third thing is here, if I want to calculate the sum, I don't have to write the sum function manually. The moment I convert my format or the moment I convert my data into a table format, I get this new tab over here, which is called as the table design tab. Okay. So you can see this table design tab. Unfortunately, I've got this zoom thing in between. Yeah. So you can see this table design tab. Now this table design tab is called as a contextual tab because the moment I click outside the boundary, you will notice that the table design tab is not shown anymore. If I go back within the boundary of the table, you will see it's shown. And when I click on it, you have various options available. So there are a few things that I would like to discuss about the table format when we deal with it. So the first thing first is you can give a name to your table. Okay. Now you can give a name to your table. Currently it says table 10 because there are too many tables already in my Excel worksheet or Excel workbook right now. You can also summarize with a pivot table directly. I will discuss that later on. Then you can convert this back to a range format. That means into this format if you wish to. Most importantly, the one feature that I want to show you right now is this total row feature. So there's this total row that you can apply. Okay, what this total row does for you is it creates a total row. And currently you can see this is the last row. Remember, this is the last row that contains data. Okay. Now, when I click on total row, another row will be added to this particular table format. But remember, This dal, okay, this value is the last row. This is the last row in the data. That means row for data. This is the total row. Okay. So this is the total row and it is going to be used for calculation of the total. So you can see here 10,890. If I click this drop down, I will be able to change based on this. So for example, currently I'm getting the sum. Now, if you see when I select the cell in the formula bar here, you have got subtotal mentioned, and subtotal is another function that is going to have a versatile way of working. It gives you the ability to work with multiple aggregation levels. You can work with sum, average, max, min, etc. But I'm not going to get into the details of the subtotal function. The good part about this is in the last row, that's the total row, you have a small drop down that's available for this particular column. Now, remember, this is not only for this column. You can simply select any other column, click the drop down and choose whichever aggregation level or whichever calculation you want to work with. So I would choose the same cell and I can click the drop down and say I want to get the average. When I do that, I get the same average 1815 without manually going and changing anything. So here the good part is that in this case, you have an auto change of function that is possible. Auto change of function. Okay. The next is finally, if I want to add new data. Now I know that I want to add these two values. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the last row. Remember, this is the last row, not this. This is the total row. So I'm going to place my cursor here in this particular cell and I'm going to hit the tab key. When I hit the tab key, I will be in the last, I will have a new row created for me. And then I can simply select these two values, copy them and paste it here. Now, the good part is when I paste this, it automatically is going to update everything. It updates the line total as well as it updates the final total and it gives you the average of 1767.5. So the last thing is it helps you to automatically expand. So there is a very interesting part of auto expansion. Okay, whenever there's new data, it automatically expands into this. Okay, so this is how you work with these particular calculations. Now we are going to talk about another very important feature or working of Excel, that is the sort and filter working. So we've discussed common Excel functions today. I will discuss the if statement towards the end. Now I'm going to get into the sorting and filtering of data. Now, here in the sorting and filtering of data, so far we worked with very small data sets. This data set is relatively a very large data set, but it is then to a subset of a larger data set. So first things first, let me show you how many rows and how many columns of data do we have. So here I'm in the first cell of this particular data set. I will use the Control Shift right key to select the first row of that particular data set. When I do that at the bottom here, I'll just zoom in. You can see it says 19 over here. Count 19, which means that I've got 19 columns of data. And simultaneously, what I can also do is I can simply go ahead and use Control and the down arrow key once I'm in the first cell. I could even do it in any other column, doesn't make a difference. So here I can see that I've got about 23,937 rows of data or records in my table. So remember, columns are also called as variables or fields. Okay, keep this in mind from the data analytics perspective. And rows are also referred to as records or observations. Okay. So far, if you're enjoying everything in this session, please give me a quick thumbs up or give me a quick one-liner that indicates that everything's going well and everything's going uh, the way it is supposed to be. Okay. Yeah. Aruna, there is a question that you would like to put across. Please put it in the chat. It'll be great. Aruna, if there's something you want to ask, please put it in the chat. Sir, how to fill attention? Okay. I have not understood your query. How to fill attention? I don't really understand what you're trying to say. Okay. So far, I'm assuming that everyone has understood everything and things are going well. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I will now start with sorting and filtering, which is another very important topic. So to begin with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to discuss the data that we have. So we have various kinds of data in this particular. Okay, sir, how to calculate average? I did discuss this. If you want, you can actually, because we are running a little short on time, you can go back. There's a recording that's going to be available. So I think you can go back and you can discuss it, or you can kind of view the recording on YouTube. It will be available for us. Okay, so let me just continue with respect to this. I will, if I have time, I will take up your question again. So here we've got date, we've got month, year, etc. Now the first thing is, how do I get these drop downs for the sort and filter? So under the home tab, you've got the sort and filter command. You can click the drop down and switch off the filter if you wish to. Okay, and I will switch it back on. So there is a shortcut for it, which is Control Shift L. Now, in certain cases, there are situations where Control Shift L, like in this case, I'm using the annotation toolbar or this annotation tool that's Epic Pen, which is kind of reserving the shortcut for Control Shift L. So if I go to menu and look at the settings here, there are certain settings for the hotkeys for Control Shift N L for, I think, line, if I'm not wrong. So that is something that we have to be a little careful about. Otherwise, there may be problems like the one that happened with me before as well. So I'll just skip that part and just click on filter. So I've got these drop downs available. Now I'll start off with the date data first. Now within the date, when you click the drop down, you have the option to sort oldest to newest and newest to oldest. So I could simply click on oldest to newest, where I have 21/12/2017 data right on top. And if I click the, or if I use the shortcut control down arrow key, I will see that I've got 21/7/2023 as the last value here. Also, if I just use the control up arrow key, I'm going to go to the top of the uh, data. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead, click this drop down, and I'm going to try to sort by color. Now, remember that in this case, I have colored these cells beforehand. So a lot of times when I give this data set, people say, how did you get the color? So I've colored this beforehand. I formatted the cells beforehand. So there's nothing to worry about. So I've colored this beforehand where I've colored this with yellow and green. So I'll just show you. If I want to sort by cell yellow color, if I click this, I have all the cells that have got yellow color right on top. Now you can try it out later on by yourself to sort by the font color as well. The next is if I want to filter. So filtering basically means I am eliminating the unwanted data or the data that doesn't fit my condition for a temporary timing. So here what I can do is I can go to filter by color and I can click on this cell color yellow. When I click on cell color yellow, what happens is it filters out all those records. Now remember that sorting and filtering are going to take place on the entire data set. It doesn't happen on only a column. So it has filtered out all the records which have got yellow color fill for this particular column only. Okay. So you can see there are 18 records. If you just look at it, I'll just zoom in for you. You can see there are 18 records which have got this yellow fill in this particular column. Now moving ahead, how do I filter by the date? So you can do the same thing for the font color as well. So date filters. Now there's a plethora of options available for date filters. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to filter out the last year, because this data is up to about 2023, which we are currently in 2024. So I'll just click this and I will go ahead and I will filter for last year data. So when I click last year over here, it shows me that there are about 5,542 records that are found out of the 24,000 odd records that are there. Okay. Now, simultaneously, we also need to understand that you can also go ahead and use this. So I'll just first thing clear the filter from this date column. You also have the option for this wildcard search filter. Now, this wildcard search filter is a useful filter because if you have too many years of data and you want to kind of filter out accordingly, you can do that very easily. So I can search for maybe, let's say 2021 or 2023, whatever. I can do it this way. Also, there is another feature. If I'm looking to search, let's say I want to find out the 20th of every single month of all the years. I can type here 20, but if I type here 20, it shows me everything for all the years. Okay, because 20 is there in every year, 20. So what I will do is I will simply click this drop down and I will change it to a date. So when I do that, it gives me the 20th of every single month for every single year. Okay. And when I click OK, you can see there are about 782 records on the 20th of every single month in every single year. Okay. I will clear the filter again. And I will show you finally here. If you see, you also have the option to click on the checkbox and choose whichever year you want. But you can also drill down to the month level and then click on the plus icon and drill down to the year day level. You cannot work on the quarter level in this at this level, but in pivot tables you can do that. So currently I'll just say cancel, and then for month year I have got sort A to Z. But when I do the sorting from A to Z, I will have April right on top, and if I use control down, I have September right at the bottom, which is not the correct way. So to clear the filter, what you do is you simply click on the drop down and click on this clear filter. So when you have a filter applied, or say for example, I'm filtering April. Okay. If I click OK, you will see for the filter, Tessin, you will see I've got this filter icon like a funnel icon, and I've got this upward arrow for a sorting icon from A to Z. What I need to do is I just need to simply click this drop down and say clear filter from month. Now this is for the month column. So I'm clearing it from the month column, but you could apply the same technique for up filtering it from any other column as well. Okay. Well, next is dealing with the year. Now I'll come to this month issue later on. Okay. This is basically the custom filter that I need to apply. Similarly, there's another custom filter that I have to apply for the age group. So here I will need to apply a filter that is going to be, so if I use sort A to Z, it gives me adults data right on top, which is 35 to 64, and youth data right at the bottom, which is less than 25, which is not correct because if you click the drop down for any filter, you will see the distinct values in that particular column. Distinct meaning how many values are actually there in the column, like how many types of values are there. So we have 4 age groups that are there. The first one is adults, which is from 35 to 64. Then is seniors, 64 plus. Then young adults, 25 to 34, and youth less than 25. But if I sort it A to Z, it will not be sort logically. Logical sorting is going to be youth, young adults, adults and seniors. Now for this to be applied correctly, I have to use again another custom filter. So I'll cancel this. I will move ahead quickly to the product subcategory. So I will discuss custom sorting tomorrow in tomorrow's session and free spins, because these are the two topics that are still kind of pending for today, which I will discuss tomorrow. Now, if you look at the subcategory, if I click on the drop down, I have A to Z and Z to A. I could use them. It's very simple. But what I want to show you is usage of this wildcard search. Now, let's say I'm interested in finding out all those records that are for the subcategory that contains the word bike in them, not bikes. Okay. So this company, this data basically is for a company that sells bicycles in the Western Hemisphere and other countries like Australia, etc. But most importantly, in the Western Hemisphere, like in the Western countries, bicycles are normally called as bikes, okay, like road bikes, mountain bikes, etc. So I actually forgot to give you a background of the data. This data is for a company that sells bicycles across the world in different countries, 6 different countries. Important thing is that this data, okay, this data is for different product categories. Within that, they have different subcategories. Like they've got bikes, clothing, and accessories related to bikes. Like for example, shorts, vests, water bottle, etc., etc. Water bottle reminds me to drink water. Okay. Uh, Perfect. So here I'm just going to type in this wildcard search box. I'm going to type BIKE. Now, when I do that, here in this, you can see there are 5 subcategories that have got the word bike in them. If I click on OK, you can see here that there are about 7,274 records for the subcategory which have got the word bike in them. Okay. I can simply click the drop down and clear filter from the subcategory. One last thing for today, we are already way above the time. Let's say, for example, revenue. Now, in the revenue, what I want is I want to see top 10 transactions. Now, it's very simple. You can see I've got smallest to largest. If I want, I can sort them accordingly. I also have sorting by color and filter by color, which I've already explained to you before. What I want to show you is this number filters. Okay. I think the data is already there with Anam. I will check if Anam is going to be able to share it with you because I did share it with her during the last boot camp. Okay. Tessin, we cannot really afford to have a practical session because we have a lot of topics to cover. But yes, you can try and solve the things by yourself. And if there are any queries, we'll see if we can take them up. You just connect with the backend team of Let's Upgrade if they can help you on that. Okay, fine. Last point. When I click the drop down for revenue, you have number filters, and then here you've got something called as top 10. So when you click on top 10, you also have, like in this, you have a drop down for top and bottom both, and you have a spin button here. So you can see there is a small spin button here, which allows you to increase or decrease the number of items that you want. So what I want here is I want to get the top 10 items. Okay, when I click OK, you will see I've got these top 10 values. But one last thing before we close, if I choose to select top 20, okay, if I change it from top 10 to top 20 and hit enter, I'm going to get 48 records. I'll just zoom in for you to show and prove this. You have 48 records. Now, the reason you're getting 48 records is there are a lot of repetitions, like you can see here 9399, 9399, 9339, sorry. So these are repeated multiple times. And because these are repeated so many times, the number of records there is going to work. Okay. Gaurav, when you say, can we use Chat GPT for data? What do you mean? Do you want to generate sample data or what are you actually looking for? I don't know what you're looking for. Anyways, I think it's time and I believe I can stop the screen share right now. So I hope all of you had a good session today. And again, apologies for what happened yesterday because of the network session. I hope I was able to make up for it today with a better network and better training quality today. I mean, the quality which I feel was relatively good, but then unfortunately, because we had network issues and that caused hiccups during the session. Yeah. Sample data, yes. I'm not really sure if ChatGPT is going to be able to give you any sample data, but you can go to the internet and you can search for data which is available on Kaggle, data.gov.in. There are a lot of places you can get sample data. Okay. Yeah. So thanks everyone. Uh, Shrikar, I'm sorry I cannot do that. You will have to connect with the backend team for it. Yeah. Thank you everyone. Thanks for your time. I hope you do well in life and you are able to kind of make use of whatever training we've done today. Yeah, so the backend team has mentioned that please check the Notion doc. All the practice data is already there. Guys, please do check whatever data is being shared with you, whatever information is being shared with you. Please go to the Notion doc and you'll get all the information there. Sorry, I have to rush into some other meeting now. So I will take your leave and it was great connecting with all of you. Wish you luck and see you tomorrow. Uh, okay, bye. Thank you. Anam, can I leave the session, Anam?
Yes, sir, you can.
Okay, perfect. I hope there was no issues with it today, Anam. How did the session go